Hey everyone, look, just got a friend of mine, David Keogh, in to have a little chat with us. It'll be really valuable for the people that are on this page. Parents of young families obviously have a big struggle at any time of the year juggling things with work. Things get stressful, it's day and age, and there's a lot of demands that are placed on families. And David actually he's a personal trainer, and he's been working alongside me for years now, and he has a niche that involves dads. His business is called Dad Crew, that he's developed, and he's got an excellent social media page as well that has great content, plenty of tips for dads out there that are trying to improve the quality of their lives as well as that, their families and their children's lives. So I thought I'd get Dave on and have a little quick chat with him. Dave, can you tell us a little bit about Dad Crew, what brought it on, what inspired you to start Dad Crew?
Sure. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, thanks, Simo. Look, I started Dad Crew probably around the middle of COVID. I've been PTing for a very long time. I've got two young daughters. They're now 8 and 6 years old. I sort of wanted to have a niche target market because I'm a busy young dad and a lot of my clientele were and are. And I just thought it's much easier to talk to people who, from my perspective as a busy young dad, who's stressed and going through the same type of stuff, basically.
All right, so someone that deals with dads on the regular especially, and you're dealing, and I'm not just saying that's only who you deal with, you've been a personal trainer, you have clients from all different aspects of life. As a dad, what would you say, and someone that's dealing with dads, what would you say is one of the biggest sort of hurdles that you're finding that dads are sort of coming across as far as like managing their health?
Yeah, sure. Look, I honestly think one of the toughest challenges that most of the dads I know and train and coach is just the amount of stress that they're under. The majority of them are, obviously not all of them, but most of them working full time. They've got more than one child. They've got a lot of stress on their plates. They're high achievers, I guess you could say. So they're, pretty busy during the day, and obviously probably find it hard to maybe allow themselves the time to exercise, and I'd say that's probably one of the biggest challenges. I guess the more stressed you are, the harder you find it to maintain the other important areas of your life, like simple thing like sleep.
Yeah, for
You're
sure.
stressed
Yeah.
and you want to use the escape of Netflix or scrolling on the phone or whatever just to switch off and escape. So look, ultimately I try and coach them to find some really simple things, basic things that they can implement into their lives to, I guess, get their health back on track.
Yeah, some of the, if I'm looking at some of the stuff that you can hold that if you want, you're doing a great job. Some of the things I find, when I'm watching your page and some of the things you're posting, and it's, that, because, I'm running 2 gyms and I get stressed, obviously, and I've got 2 children of my own, and I come home and I'm irritable. And you were posting some stuff recently about things on, how to handle that sort of stuff. I would walk in the door, and I'm feeling the pressure of the day, and I'm still trying to get things completed when I walk inside the door, and not the best thing to do, right? You don't want to bring your business home.
Yeah.
So you're talking about cleaning up your diet, and getting plenty of sleep. What's some pointers that how do I get myself to a point where I'm not feeling stressed?
Yeah.
So is that I don't want to come home. It sounds like a double-edged sword. It's a conundrum, right? Like I'm coming home, I'm stressed out, but the first thing I want to do is I'm either going to be irritable or I want to eat some crap food or have a beer or something like that. What's the tips you'd give us?
Yeah. I think as far as stress goes, there's so many ways to manage that or cope with it. I find, obviously probably like yourself, exercise is a big one. So exercising daily, and I think a lot of the guys I coach, most of the people I train aren't going to a gym yet, or they've tried and they're failing, or they join a gym and they last for a little while and then they give up, right? So practical things like doing some little workouts at home, short, sharp. I think there's a bit of a misconception that you have to go to the gym for an hour every day if you want to exercise, when it could be a simple 15-minute body weight workout at home.
Yeah, and a dad's day is busy enough already, right? So you're not going. Where am I going to find an hour plus 15 minutes of travel time?
Yeah,
it's a big jump.
100%. And depending what time you're getting home, I mean, I like to walk a lot, so obviously do some exercise and plenty of that, but I also like to walk. So I think one of the tips I put out was basically before you walk in the door, go for a 5 or 10 minute walk around the block. Just to detach from work and leave work at work and come home and just take some breaths, focus on your breath.
I like that.
Get some fresh air, walk in the door, and just say it's family time.
Yeah, right. It's an opportunity to switch off. Yeah. I like that idea. And as far as food goes, I suppose when you start exercising, it's the next thing you do. You start looking at what you're eating. Is there any tips that you'd have just in regards to? I mean, especially for like just guys that are on the run a bit as well. What's the easiest way to get some quality food in and not find yourself eating what's readily available?
Yeah, totally. I think my advice would be to keep the changes as simple as possible. I know that sounds pretty vague, but if you looked at what you eat for the week as a whole, like if you kept a food journal even for a few days, a few weekdays and weekend days, and you picked one or two things that you know are really hurting your health. So if I kept a food journal and a lot of meals were pretty good, but I was having a lot of junk food, snack food, not much fruit and vegetables. There are a couple of easy fixes there. So 1, stop eating as much junk, and 2, try and eat some more fruits and vegetables. Just simple little changes. Nothing more than a couple at a time.
Any tips on like how to stop drinking after work?
I guess there's no magic bullet, but it's like junk food. I find if it's there, I say if you bring it to the party, I'm probably going to have it. I never have my fridge stocked with beer. I don't have a beer fridge. I might have a couple of beers over the weekend, but I won't go and buy a carton or 2 at a time and have them stocked. I think everyone made that mistake in COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
And just find like if it's there, well, it's a lot harder. It's another barrier, right? It's another hurdle. And then I've got to overcome that need or that desire to have it. Or if it's not there, it's a bit out of sight, out of mind.
Exactly.
Especially when you're at your weakest, you come home, you're buggered, you're tired, the kids want your attention. It's easier to just, I guess, crack a beer and have 1 or 2 of them, or 3 before you know it. I think just switching off from work and replacing those habits, like get down with your kids and play with them, or get outside and run around with them. I mean, it's not food related, but it's a swap. It's a healthy swap.
Yeah, and it's about that balance, right? Finding the exercise scheme that you can take on now and be able to manage it for a while and make improvements to it down the track, but it's manageable to start off. It's not making huge changes that aren't, especially, you're already struggling with your time, right?
Yeah.
And then when it comes to diet, like there's no real reason to be sort of trying to research the ins or counting macros and weighing all your food and which is better, paleo, zone. Am I going to be a carnivore this week? I don't know. So keeping it simple, fruit, veg,
Keeping it simple,
and just getting rid of the junk. Keep it out of your house.
Yeah, it's like you said. I think there's an overwhelming amount of bullshit on social media about dieting, and there's a lot of myths and stuff. So I think ultimately, don't worry about counting your calories. Like if you're just starting out, it's just going to be too hard. I think the stricter you make it, the more complex something is, the less chance you have of sticking to it. And I guess dietary changes and losing weight has more to do with doing something consistently over a long period of time, rather than doing something perfect, hammering yourself for like 2 weeks on this really strict, unsustainable diet. And then you're just going to put the weight back on. You probably won't last. So I think the simpler the changes, the more chance you have in doing that consistently till that becomes a habit, and then you might pick 1 or 2 more changes.
Awesome, I like it. And then I guess the final one would be sleep, right? Like I'm starting to exercise more, making some changes in my diet. Hopefully that would sort of take care of itself. I should be sleeping better, right? I've removed alcohol from my diet. Like we've spoken about before with the whip straps and things that we've been wearing in the past, and we can see the effect that these things have on our recovery, how well we sleep. Maybe a little tip on that for the guys out there about sleep, what you do, anything that might help?
Look, I always find it fascinating that most people know, like I reckon everyone watching this has seen multiple tips on how to sleep better. It's quite funny, we often do the opposite of what we know will help our energy. So, and hey, we're all, I guess, guilty of that sometimes. So it's easy to recline to the couch, you put the kids to bed, you're buggered, you had enough, and you just want to switch off. So I find for me, not watching like TV, at night, and that's like doesn't have to be all the time, but I might pick a few nights of the week where I'm really knackered or I've got a big day the next day, and I just make sure I go to bed a bit earlier and not binge watch any TV. We might set a stiff deadline that we're at least switching that off maybe half an hour or so, no screens, half an hour or so before bed. I think that's a really simple one. Not drinking alcohol, like we've already mentioned, even though it might relax you, it's going to negatively impact your deep sleep, your restorative sleep. It's something that you might not even notice that's happening. And not eating junk. Like I think that's one of my biggest things is after dinner, just that's it. Not eating close to bedtime. Once again, your body's going to be trying to process that food while you're asleep, putting energy into processing that food rather than helping your body.
And that's kind of the time when most people are going to eat junk, right?
Yeah,
End
well,
of the day.
I think it's
dessert.
Speaking for myself, if I'm typically on a standard weekday, if I'm going to eat junk, it's probably going to be at night.
Yep.
And I think it just becomes a habit because you sit down on the couch and then you're looking around like what's in the cupboard.
Yeah.
But that just becomes a habit. If you go to bed and you're not saying you have to read a freaking book, but if you're in bed and you're doing something a little bit healthier, like reading a book, you're probably not going to be munching on a packet of salt and vinegar chips in bed.
Yeah, sleep's such a big one, especially for young families with young kids.
Yeah.
Haven't been there, you and I both.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. So, that's managing that, I guess, is like a really important one. Mate, thanks for your time. Look, if the guys wanted to reach out, especially the dads out there, get in touch with you, is there a way they can see what you're up to? Social media, how would they follow you? How would they get in touch?
Easy. Easiest way to find me is on Instagram, David Keogh, Dad Crew Health Coaching, nice and simple. That's where I'm most active. Yep.
Awesome.
Or on Facebook. I do have a Facebook page, but Instagram's easy.
Beautiful.
Yep.
Check it out, guys. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, bro.
See you soon.